Crooks, we've made it to the promised land that is the end of day one. We've been here for 12 hours on the mark.
Easy clap, dude.
Easy clap. A lot of Battlerite we've burned through today, but we got one last banger to beat through before we end the day. We got Impact versus Black Dragons for a qualification spot in the semifinals. Both of these teams desperately wanting this one. Who do you think is going to take it?
I got to say Impact. I usually, you know, again, we had that discussion of, we've seen so many interesting things, so many interesting developments over the course of LAN over just the last 12 hours. Like you said, so many things have changed. Our perception of a lot of these different matchups has changed. Life has changed in general. I don't know the meaning. I'm looking for answers. The numbers, ITF, what do they mean? But here we are, and I mean, it's a series with Impact in it. Some poor soul got condemned to fighting Impact in the lower bracket, you know? Young Sung did this to everybody else. Let's make it clear. You have to play against Impact in the lower bracket. Absolutely terrifying. So that's where we're at right now. I mean, they've looked incredibly strong. We saw them play up against, you know, Cinnabro a little bit earlier in the day. That series was a series. For sure. Certainly a series of Battlerite.
Yeah, there were definitely 15 rounds won by one team in that series.
Yes, and it was definitely Impact.
Yeah.
In those games. It was definitely still the team I'm used to watching, Impact. So I don't foresee anything changing here. Again, so flexible. And the same thing we saw Black Dragons have a problem with last series that we watched, the inflexibility of their melee selection here. It's going to bite them in the exact same way against Impact as it did against Young Sung, because Impact is just as versatile of a team as Young Sung, just as flexible.
Maybe Impact slightly less flexible, just in terms that, you know, they only have certain players that can play the Thorn. Of course, Dizzler pretty much condemned to the Thorn play. As Vague, we never see him play that character, so they're a little bit less flexible, but I think they still definitely meet that like standard where they are a little bit more flexible than Black Dragons will be able to handle. We see the drafts here on screen. Gaddafi going to be running that Lucy. Dizzler on the Jumong. Vague on Rook. Going to have a Rook versus Rook here. And on the other side, Black Dragon's going to be running Higure on the Blossom. We have a Rook and a Jumong rounding out that comp.
It'll be interesting to see. I feel like Vague, when you put him on Rook, it's very easy for him to kind of go into clown shoes mode, where it feels like Vague is just like, all right,
like that's just Vague Battle right,
space in, I'll see what happens.
Vague just goes. Vague's a goer.
I hit the button, you know, if I hit the button, something might happen. We'll see what happens. I'll hit the button, you know. But I feel like in this series, you know, again, backs against the wall, wanting to round out this evening with a strong choice. I feel like Vague is going to be on his game. I feel like his Rook is absolutely oppressive, and combined with these teammates, they have a comp tailored to do well against.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how this side of Black Dragons end up doing. Game one coming up right now.
Suspenseful.
Dizzler's so handsome, man. Dizzler is a very handsome Battlerite player. He is incredibly skilled as well, and he's going to be on that Jumong, something that the Rook of Tanho is going to have to really look out for. Audaz on that Ashka, and Figure on that Blossom. We'll see how this goes for the red team and the blue.
This is what I've seen before from Dizzler. Look at the way he's just found an opening on Higure. Look at him just casually taking half of that Blossom's HP. The follow-up is there, baiting with that EX M2. He's going to put up the firewall, Audaz is, just to stop a little bit of that aggression. But look at the HP difference already. Audaz having a terrible time. Higure being pushed back so hard by the Jumong. The follow-up is there from Dizzler, and Dizzler walked forward.
Yeah, Dizzler on the Jumong just literally stepped forward until the round was over. Ended up collecting a few kills on his way there, and man, Black Dragons, they're gonna have to Higure out something really quick.
Oh, I want to leave. Somebody, why would you do that? We almost made it. I can't get away.
I love my job, dude.
I can't get away.
I love my job.
Somebody help me.
Round one, going to Impact, and very dominantly at that. We see a slight change in the Jumong Battlerite build here. He's got the rain of arrows, damage increase, and radius increase, but he does not have the slow. He instead opts for the stun. How do you feel about that?
I like the stun a lot. I also like his adaptation of the Prowl, right? I think it makes him a lot slipperier against the Rook and the AoE CC of the Ashka and the Blossom as well. I really like Dizzler's build here. He's going to open up with that early rain again to force Higure back. Higure, of course, used to being able to play very aggressive. I like the counter from Tanho as well. Fake doesn't manage to get his hit, but the elusive barrier is going to cover him up a little bit. A nice fear from Godov is just going to push Tanho around, and they just so seem to have complete control over the map. Dizzler dropping that double range, already getting that energy farm going.
Yeah, Tonho is able, he made his way back onto Godolph and farmed up a little bit of energy, but Godolph sitting on even more. He throws out that deadly inject and uses the roll immediately after. And up top, the 2v1 from Dizzler is absolutely merciless. He's just clowning on these kids.
Dizzler's D key is like actually overpowered, I think. Like just walking at the enemies. He has such a sense of presence when you play against him. His cooldown rotations are so tight. They're going to kind of post up behind the Blossom Tree. They do manage to confirm that orb, which is going to be good for them going forward to have a little bit of energy to play with. However, Godolph sitting on the potential for that Lucy Goo. He knows that Higure is space. I'm surprised he didn't screw him there. Instead, is onto Audaz, who's going to have to ulti to get out of it, but now that just puts you in the Dizzler meat grinder.
Yep, on the left side of the map, Audaz dropping that Petrify to slow down the roll of Veg, but he's still sitting pretty back there with 2 bars of energy and a significant amount of HP. But blue team, they managed to get that orb, Crooks.
Yeah, and Impact looking a little bit unusually split, as usual, as you noted. Vig just kind of noodling around wherever he sees fit on the map with that rook, creating a lot of space. Once again, Dizzler just sort of teeing off in the enemy team. Higure forced to space. This is going to be a marker for Impact where they can really start to get something done. As you can see, dropping those Rain of Arrows with the EXM2, just poking the Blossom so savagely from such a long range.
Firewall gonna be dropped in just for a moment. Audaz is untouchable by his enemies. He's quickly returned to being very vulnerable, as did his rook, though. Down bottom, Tonho just gonna get eviscerated.
It's as a caster, it's difficult because I'm watching this game and it's like, what part do I focus on so much? But all I'm seeing here is just Dizzler, just the mechanics of Impact, the way that they exploit cooldown rotations against their teammates is just so intimidating to watch.
He's just Dizzling them, dude. He's doing the Dizzler, just putting out that damage.
I'll allow it.
He'll allow that one, all right. We got a lot of damage coming out from that Jumong. My God, his score, 1338. 656 M1 damage alone. Does he miss?
Not usually. If he does, it's usually the game making a mistake.
Yeah, the game has registered something incorrectly. The arrow should have hit. Impact and Dizzler up 2-0 in game 1 of this best of 5, trying to qualify for the semifinals. Veg gonna get a little bit of damage here on Tonho. Doesn't hit that counter. Counter not gonna be used by Tonho. The end cap coming out inevitably. Really nice play for Veg to start this one off.
Yeah, that matchup between the two rooks was actually interesting. The way Tonho and Veg played it, sort of trying to bait the other one into countering by flicking that M2. Neither of them fell for it, so they just kind of split up. But at that point, Impact hasn't been able to confirm the forced orb. That's actually gone to the side of the South Americans. So it's going to be a little bit difficult going for Impact forward, as well as Audaz doing a great job zoning Veg out of the fight. Ashka's actually putting in some work right now.
Yeah, he's finally been able to reconnect, though. And if you look at the rooks, Tonho has been doing significantly worse than Veg. But as I say that, the playing field is equalized, and Veg gets destroyed. The Infernal Scorch gonna be dodged. He has that M2 available, the barrier used on him as well. A lot of damage still came out onto Veg, though. That Petrify immediately broken by the damage output of Blossom. Things are looking very good here for the red team as, you know, inevitably Veg was able to reconnect, and Dizzler and Godolph have been destroying this 2v2 on the other side.
Yeah, I was going to say once again, as a melee player, it's so often about the space that you buy. As I say that, Tonho is just going to go down, caught out from out of his team, and Higure just couldn't have anything to offer him in terms of health or protection.
Yep. Impact, they get their first orb of the round, and with it, they get a kill onto Higure. Audaz is all that's left. He uses that Petrify and that Firewall, but he has nowhere else to go, and he's going to fall. Impact, they look dominant.
I think the only point really is sort of the risky style of Rook that Veg plays, the very feast or famine, but what you get off of that, again, we talk so much about the space creation of melee players in Battlerite, right? And Veg really is willing to throw all of his chips on the table to give Dizzler a chance to just do his job better than anybody else, and watching it is a real treat. And you have to acknowledge, you know, we've pointed out Dizzler's incredible level of effectiveness with all of the heroes he plays, especially in the ranged role, and a lot of that really comes down to Veg and what he's getting done.
Hearing a little bit of fireworks outside. Things going a little bit crazy. I was a bit concerned for a second, then I realized what was happening. Audaz, he's using that spacebar to get away from the boulder. Veg taking quite a bit of damage. Can't go in because of that Boom Bloom, the Rain of Arrows. Raining out damage and farming up energy for the red Jumong. Dizzler sitting on a full bar of energy and gets the orb. This map might be blown open very soon here.
Yeah, I think this double Rain of Arrows in particular, the defensive goo from Godolph, a little bit interesting, is going to discourage a lot of Tonho's pressure there. Baits Veg's counter yet again, and Veg is just going to take this as an opportunity to open up a nicely timed Lucy barrier as well. Is going to allow Veg to walk around. Well-placed Q by Audaz, though, and they're going to punish him really hard. They've gotten serious sticking damage on Veg.
Yeah, they get a huge punish onto Veg here. Now the other Rook trying to get in. Tonho, he's trying to find something. A double Rain of Arrows getting so much value. A double Petrify is the answer, though. The Infernal Scorch is here, too, and a decent amount of damage onto to Impact that Tanho and co might be able to take this round. Veg, he's eating up, but still his HP pool is so low that Meatball barely misses the deadly inject. So close to healing off Tanho, and he finally goes down to a straight charge from Veg. Beautifully played from Impact, but it's not over just yet. The Infernal Scorch is there, and it hits onto 2, but the counter is procced up top. Veg, he's not going to go down here, and you know, the Blossom, not so fortunate.
Yeah, Veg picked a great time to just charge back in, finding that really optimal moment to rejoin his team just out of nowhere from left field, smashing the enemy team apart. I love the way these guys sort of trade off the focus on each other. It's really, it's kind of the essence of like what a team is, right? Knowing when to pass the ball. Right. And I feel like Impact gets that on such an incredible level, and watch them already up 4-0 with no sign of stopping.
Yeah, up 4-0, and like you mentioned, no sign of stopping. Though that last round did look a little bit better for Black Dragons. They had a little bit more momentum, but at the end of the day, Veg and Co on Impact still going to end up taking it. Game 1, game point here. We'll see if Impact manages to clean it up and secure, or move a little bit closer to securing a spot in the semifinals.
Outez, an unfortunate start. He's forced a defensive space, and Veg is in really deep. A nicely timed barrier by Godav as well. Cleansing off a lot of that allows Veg to just get out of the backline again. A nice firewall set up from Outez. They're going to let him get some damage, but now Dizzler has the stacks, and he's starting to have the energy.
Yeah, Dizzler getting a little bit of damage. The in-cap coming out onto Tanho, but Tanho gets the orb before he goes. Now down bottom, these Rooks squared up against each other. Veg gonna quickly reconnect with his allies and pick up those green shards. Impact taking all of the resources on the map.
Yeah, and here comes the follow-up between Veg and Dizzler, stopping a lot of what Blossom is trying to do. He now has no space. Here comes the potential setup. Veg I-framing the Ashka ultimate. Very nice discipline on that M2. As Impact going to attempt to confirm the orb, they are going to be able to take that one, stop Black Dragons from taking it for themselves.
Yeah, that orb was very big for Veg too. He needed that energy to heal up, and he did with the eat. The barrier going to be expended on him with very little value. A little bit of a scary situation here for Impact, and they're going to play patiently and wait out the barrier cooldown. And meanwhile, Veg picking up all the greens, very ideal for Impact. He doesn't even want the greens up top. Veg wants in. That's the Veg I've come to know.
Greens don't deal damage to the enemy in the flesh. Useless.
That's true. Veg, similar to your Nightmare in that aspect, just wanting to go in and find that damage. He's canceling a lot of charges. We'll see which one he ends up running with. There we go. Finds one in. Tanho takes a decent amount of damage. Tanho's got no energy, and the armor break applied on him. Rain of Arrow's going to be dropped through the traps. This is not a good look for Tanho's Rook.
No, it's very bad, and now especially Dizzler just has the shooting ground. He's going to go absolutely wild here.
Tanho going back in. The Rain of Arrows en route immediately once again. Dizzler, whenever there's an opportunity, it seems he always has the ability to capitalize on it, playing absolutely flawlessly here.
We've talked about it so much, as it looks like Impact is going to be cleaning out this first game on Skyring Night 5-0. But Dizzler, what Impact is doing is like essentially the cooperation between Dizzler and Godav in proximity with allowing Veg to just kind of do whatever the hell he wants in a game. Dizzler is putting on an absolute clinic in just positioning. The way that he works around both what his teammates are doing, what the enemy team is doing, you'll notice he's always in range to hit M1s. He's always in range to sort of space back to allow Godav to heal him, to cover him.
Right.
And budgeting that amount of space as a ranged player is such a huge part of your job in competitive threes, and the level to which Dizzler does it is kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's like he has these two circles, you know, one around the enemy team and one around his team just in his head, and he's just staying equidistant to those at all times. It's so calculated, it's so clinical, and I love the discipline from Impact as well, from 2/3 of Impact, I'd say, because they do love that sort of lightning in a bottle quality about Veg that you see here. The fact that the kid can pop off to an insane level. He can win you games just on his own. So let him do that. And we'll keep the other two safe, calculated, and confirm rounds off of just solid play.
Yeah, such solid play. The consistency, the pillars of consistency in both the range and support role, Godav and Dizzler, really irreplaceable. And the way they pair it with that lightning in a bottle, like you mentioned, of Veg is just so incredible to watch. Veg is one of the most dynamic players in Battlerite, I'd say. Some of these rounds, he just comes out of nowhere and just destroys them. Of course, that comes with having your down rounds too, but we didn't see any of those in that last game. This is the Impact show, and they won it 5-0. Now, what do you think that Black Dragons can bring to the table in order to combat what Impact is doing?
It was interesting because we were talking to Jeter a little bit before we started casting this game, and he was talking about, you know, it was sort of interesting watching last game because it's sort of thinking about the dynamic of potentially having bans in Battlerite, where effectively Jeter with his pick sought out to just ban Rook effectively from the side of Black Dragons. He was going to pick a comp. You just can't play Rook into, and if you do, you still don't get to play Rook. Yeah, you know, you picked Rook. Yeah, like you have your WASD keys attached to Rook. Are you playing Rook? debatable.
Yeah, we were talking to Ninjas in between the game. We were like, why didn't you let the Rook play?
Yeah, why didn't you let Tanho play the game? That was awfully mean of you.
Yeah, Tanho flew all the way here from Brazil, and Ninjas just didn't let him do anything.
Just didn't let him play the game. It seems awfully cruel, and I feel like Impact are going to be employing a very similar strategy here. I think they have kind of isolated that this is, in fact, sort of an Achilles heel in a way as Tanho. It is his greatest strength and also his greatest weakness is that it's very unlikely that they're going to switch, and I think Impact are going to continue to punish that very heavily. I think we may see a comp switch up here simply because Impact seems like a team that kind of craves variation. They like to push themselves a little bit to kind of understand the boundaries of what they're playing against, and they become better for it. So I would not be surprised to see something a little bit different here, and I think we are going to see it here as Godov. He's going to lock in that older, and it's looking like it's going to be the Jumong for Dizzler alongside the Rook. So a slight alteration in the support role.
Check Audaz's hero. Yeah, that look on your face is exactly what I thought as well. He's playing Taya, folks. We have a Taya switch from the Ashka Jumong player of Black Dragons. It'll be very interesting to see how this ends up working for him. You know, I don't think I've ever seen him play Taya. It's a pretty tall order here.
It hits me as a little bit surprising because I think historically we've noted Taya being a little bit of a difficult matchup into Jumong. You know, Ray Navarro's, the snare kind of ruining your day. You run into one of those traps, it cuts all momentum you have as Taya. And if one thing we know about Taya is she's so momentum-based. Getting those haste resets, getting the positioning and the setups for your teammates is just so crucial. And if you're not able to do that, it seems like Jumong can slow that down in a really effective way.
Good off. He's switching to the older as well. I feel like older going to be a very strong pick against the Taya and everything else that Black Dragons is bringing to the table. How do you feel like this round is, or this match rather, is going to go?
I would be surprised if it wasn't the same level of dominance as we saw the previous game. I love a good competitive series. We've had lots of them today, but
we'll see if you're right. Game 2 coming up right now. Man, I wish we could have had that on camera.
I'm glad we didn't have it on camera. I wouldn't have done it if I thought it was on camera.
Crooks and I having a cute dance after this 12-hour day. We got our potential last series here coming up. Black Dragons versus Impact. Things starting out very well for the Black Dragons as a meaty X-Strike lands onto Veg and chunks him down hard.
Yeah, and Veg has been having difficulties already, and Tanho is in. I love this. He smells blood in the water. The follow-up on the Veg, the in-cap, they break it, and they crush him.
Dude, yeah, that was immediate. The punish there was huge. The X-Strike plus the armor break dealing so much damage. This Taya and Rook combination already showing a lot of promise.
Yeah, now we've seen it before. Tanho, actually, I've been quite impressed with the way he sort of navigated that Rook mirror against Veg last game. I mean, they didn't manage to take any rounds, but I thought the way that he sort of outplayed Veg a couple times, he mind-gamed Veg with his M2, with his counter usage, because that is sort of the classic way you win kind of the Rook mirrors. Whoever is forced to M2 first on Rook usually loses in a matchup against very competent competitive players, because that can lead to a counter, then that leads into all the other mind games in the follow-up there. But Tanho saw a perfect opportunity where the counter was down, Audaz was on deck with that wind bomb to pull everybody together, and when Tanho charged in like that, it was just a perfect punish.
Yeah, and after these incredibly difficult last 2 series, seeing Tanho pull that MVP feels kind of good, man. Feel kind of bad for the dude. You know, he's been known for his Rook play, but he's been having such a hard time this tournament getting counterpicked. So hard. Very difficult matchups all across the board for Tanho. We'll see if he's able to keep that up in this round 2.
Yeah, Vig playing very far forward. Gets his counter hit this time, which is nice. Higure going to try and set up with the tree. A lot of AoE healing on his teammates. They're negating quite a lot of early damage, but as I say that, Dizzler's mouse accuracy yet again. Disgusting. Yep,
the Rey Navarro is dealing quite a lot of damage to the blue Rook as well. He has to run back and he gets that nice heal. The M2 from Dizzler not going to secure the orb, and actually Black Dragons get it.
Yeah, that's not a bad start for them. They're going to need that energy sorely. Tanho looking for the in-cap, doesn't quite manage to get it. The older ultimate going to come out very aggressively, and there it is from downtown, the snipe.
Yeah, from across the map, Dizzler going to land that Dragon Slayer, and with a secure kill onto the Blossom. 2v3 here. We'll see if the combination of the Rook and Taya are able to do it. Taya, she's trapped in that corner with nowhere to go. She's just getting eaten alive by this Rook up top. Tanho doing no better against Veg, or against rather Dizzler. In that round, very dominant from Impact.
Yeah, relatively clean one there. Understanding it a little bit better. They definitely got punished very heavily for a little bit of lax play from the side of Vig that first round, and then they were like, all right, get it together.
Yeah, clean it up.
Tighten the leash a little bit, clean it up, clean it up. Yep. Come on.
1-1 is this round score, moving into round 3, and of course game 1 was won by Impact, so they're ahead 1-0 in this series. Running a little bit of a different comp here, getting some practice on the older is Godov, and it's looking pretty good. I like it a lot against the Taya of Audaz, and as well as the Blossom of Figure.
Yeah, look at that early opening against Tanho there. Dizzler completely locking him out. Veg, of course, playing very aggressively. I like Hikaru's tree placement a lot early in the game. He's getting lots of early AoE heal value, building a lot of energy. Got able to catch that charged M1. It's going to disable Audas pretty hard, actually, as the first orb comes up. Impact should have complete control over it.
Yeah, Impact, they don't actually get it, though. A beautiful boulder placement from Tanho is going to secure it for his team, and that's very big for the Black Dragons. They are still slightly behind here. We'll see if they can keep up and find their way back in. A good X-Strike lands onto the Jumong. The Dragon Slayer is going to get no value, unfortunately, and very quickly this round is going in the blue team's favor.
Yeah, but look at the pursuit starting from Veg here, getting some nice counter hits, dodging the Boom Bloom with an M2, trying to keep some pressure on Taya. She's going to fire that ultimate. Dizzler trying desperately to drop some rains on her to deplete that shield, get her unmounted, but he's not quite able to, as again, Tano's going to be looking to go in. Veg trying desperately to buy them some space. Dizzler just wants a little bit more energy, a little bit more stacks of permanent HP.
Boulder dropping that ulti. The stun going to get no value, and Dizzler going to die immediately when he comes out of it, however. Tanho and co, Black Dragons, looking like they're going to take this round. Dizzler and Impact get the third orb, their second of the round. We'll see if they're able to coordinate enough damage to find a kill on either the Rook or the Blossom. It's not looking at it at this point as Godov taking so much damage from that Dance of the Dryads. Everything looking very difficult for Impact.
Man, that first orb was a really huge deal for the side of Black Dragons. It felt like that early energy getting rolling really helped Taya in particular have the tools on deck necessary to survive. He got a lot of good iframes, a lot of good damage in, and Audas honestly playing a very, very strong round. It felt like his CC just in general on the side of Impact was pretty on point there. Though I do question Dizzler's usage of that older ultimate used on him to kind of go aggressively. He should have known that Tanho had the M2 to dodge the stun and then follow up afterwards.
It's jet lag.
Definitely jet lag.
Dizzler traveled very, very far to get here.
Dizzler came from far and wide, absolutely.
Yeah, he must be jet lagged. The only excuse I can think of. Impact. 1-2 is the round score in favor of the blue team. Black Dragons looking really good with this Taya pick. And what's making this work, Crooks?
I think it's just the wind bomb in general, enabling Rook to really get in on one target, the ability to cancel things like Vague's counter to keep Older in place. I think it really sets up Tanho to have a good game, and I think that's something they've maybe been lacking in other comps of theirs.
Rook not going to get his counter proc down bottom, but still the trade onto the Taya is all very, very favorable. So much damage coming out, and Tanho not doing much better on the other side. Oh god, the Dragon Slayer getting dropped right when the Rook lands from his M2. Blue team, though, they get the orb, and that helps them out quite a lot, but still, this deficit is pretty significant. Tanho not landing that charge either. This is not a good look up top. The Older just going to get hit by the rain of arrows. The counters proc, very fortunately for him, and the Dance of the Dryads is going to get out that weaken and damage, but still, the disadvantage is pretty massive here. Blue team falling very far behind, and they're now down one character. Tanho going to be the first to fall. Audas getting ran at. Veg switching his target to Higure. 13 HP on that Blossom. The Dragon Slayer not going to hit, but boy, that would have been cool if it did.
Yeah, and it's not looking too good for the odds of Black Dragons in this round. You know, sometimes you have a really dominant round, and we talk about how your comp is all working and you're enabling Tanho, and then all of a sudden, Dizzler farms a Jumong ulti before the first orb is up.
Yeah. Jumong's energy gain was just significantly nerfed, too.
Yep.
Now, the fact that he was able to do that, absolutely incredible. It kind of goes along with the joke we were saying earlier. Dizzler doesn't miss M1s. He's just farming up that free energy time and time again, getting enough energy for that ultimate very early on and landing it onto Tanho. It was pretty much fully charged too at that point. Tanho, not only did he take a huge chunk of damage, but he was also relocated way far out into the side of the map where he does not want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, this comp of the side of Impact, especially into this comp of Black Dragons, is really set up for Dizzler to succeed here, and I think he's doing a good job of that. Does dink that early counter from Tanho. Vega's going to follow up, try and just, you know, throw his little meat hammers around, try and discourage him away from his teammate. Nice bubble by Godov is going to discourage a lot of Tanho's aggression as well as they start setting up for the orb, and blue team actually manages to snag that out from under Impact's nose.
The counter of Tanho is not going to get procced, and that's going to free up Dizzler to throw out some M2s. The rain of arrows, Crooks. That double root is there, but a sick reflect. Actually not reflect. That was a very interesting interaction.
That was a strange interaction.
Yeah, Tanho got hit with the Dragon Slayer, and then immediately after, he was reflected into one of his allies. On the left side of the map, the Older going to use his ultimate, not going to land onto Tanho. The Quicksand going to get a little bit of value. Damage coming out onto the blue team. The advantage is there. Impact pulling pretty far ahead here. see if they can finish off this kill on Tanho.
Yeah, this is exactly where a Jumong comp wants to be, you know, to have you in the corner where you're just ripe for the picking as far as energy farming. Double rain of arrows goes, you see there, brings Tanho dangerously close to death. Impact gonna try and clean up another orb. The bubble usage by God up to zone them off, very nice. That's a tornado spent as well, along with the iframe for Higure. Audaz is gonna go down regardless. The Dragon Slayer is gonna come out for no value, but it's now a 3v2 and it's looking bad.
Yep, the tree destroyed here, as is the Blossom immediately after her Dance of the Dryads, and this round is all but over. The 5th round being taken by Impact.
Much more solid by them. I think a pretty normal round. In particular, Godov's play on the Older really had a lot of space for him to open up and deal damage, as we see there snacking the MVP. It's pretty terrifying to play against an Older that has that much space.
Yeah, Godov on pretty much any of the characters he plays always managed to have a very high impact. No, they're pulling pretty far ahead. Don't give me that look, Crooks. I'm having a good time here.
Give me that look.
Don't give me that look, Crooks. I'm having a good time here. 3-2 is the round score in Game 2. We'll see if Impact can keep this steamboat going, see if they can pull ahead and take Game 2.
Interesting start here, Vig. Opting for obviously the much more aggressive option. Tanho going in a little bit more calculated. Gets in-capped into the M2. What a terrible start. Was he holding counter that whole time? He was. Heartbreaking. The bubble placement for Godov makes it so Audaz can't help his teammate at all. Vig attempting to follow up, misses the M2 unfortunately, as Dizzler being zoned a little bit by the tire pressure.
The orb going to be taken by the red team. The last tick of the rain of arrows is actually going to be what secures it. Rare that you see that happen. Such a small tick of damage. Down bottom, this Taya is getting absolutely destroyed. She has that armor break on her. The Forest Sanctuary is dropped in up top. Tanho once again not doing much better over the board. Impact is winning their 1v2 and the Dragon Slayer charged up to full, connecting off the M2 of Rook. So much damage there, and they're going to be able to clean up the kill. Impact pulling pretty far ahead, killing this Taya as well. Higure, all that's left, he uses that Dance of the Dryads to secure the orb, but he's got nothing left in the tank, and he's going to fall. Impact 4-2, Crooks.
Yeah, and they've really started to ramp once again. I think we see a little bit of initial struggle sometimes, and some of the things Black Dragons are doing are a little bit foreign there, but the rate at which Impact definitely adapts is pretty astounding to watch, and it seems like they just have a better grip over these rounds the further they go on. In particular, you know, we watched sort of two different fights take place at the end of that round. On one end of the map, it was Dizzler just really doing whatever he wanted against Tanho's Rook, and then down at bottom, obviously, the other two sort of battling it out in that 2v2, all culminating in Dizzler just seeing that no cooldowns were up and finishing him with the Dragon Slayer. I mean, that just looks like an Impact round if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, Dizzler absolutely capitalizing off the pressure that was put out by Vague. We'll see if they can keep it up here. Getting a decent amount of damage onto Tanho is Vague. Rook trades here, very interesting. Weird how these all play out. Vague actually now falling pretty far behind. He luckily doesn't hit that counter, but down bottom, the Tay is dead.
Godov played Older.
Yeah,
round. He played Older really well.
Yeah.
And it's kind of looking like it's going to be 5-2 in favor of Impact in the second game already. Here comes the Dragon Slayer. Snap, channeling some Jurgen there. Nicely played.
Yeah, just flicking that one to finish off the round in style. Now 5-2 in favor of Impact. This game 2 is over. We're going to move on to game 3. We'll see if Black Dragons can figure out what they need to do differently. But at this point, it's looking like there's not much they can do.
Yeah, I quite like the adaptation of the Taya. It definitely looked interesting, and it looked like they were almost a little bit more comfortable with that. So we've seen Audaz on a variety of picks. We've seen the Ashka, we've seen the Jumong, we've seen the Taya now. I'm sure he can play a couple of other things, and I think the adaptation is interesting, but it seems like, once again, the Rook is just, it seems to be a really weak point time and again. And every time I see, you know, Tanho trying to make those big plays, it seems like Impact is just smacking him down every single time.
Yeah, I'm smacking the Rook, I get it. Are you memeing with me? Have we made it far enough to where even you're making puns?
Is that an ability name for Rook?
Yeah,
Smack?
Smack. Yeah,
Seems to me.
Rook Smack. How many hours do you have in this game?
Like 2,000.
I guess we all just call it R.
I just call it R, but
Yeah, Rook R. Exactly. Yeah, the in cap.
Rook R, me hit wall. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, Impact pulling up ahead 2-0 in this best of 5. Of course, they're fighting for not only their tournament life, but a position in the semifinals. Loser of this one gonna drop out of the tournament. Black Dragons looking like they are on the verge of falling out. We'll see if they can strike back in this game too. Crooks, how are you feeling, man?
Sad for Black Dragons.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's.
A little bit.
I mean, at the end of the day, even if they lose this, they were still brought out to Sweden for a professional video game that they qualified for.
I mean, that's the sickest thing. Like, talking to these guys, it's great. I mean, obviously, you always want to bring home the W, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But they can be proud of everything they've accomplished here. I would say every team that managed to make it into the top 8 teams in the world you know, to qualify to come here for this international tournament. I think they all have something to be very proud of, and they've all brought a lot of individual flavor to this. That's something personally that I wasn't necessarily expecting.
Right.
But seeing all of these different teams represent these different regions has been really interesting, and Black Dragons has played a part in that.
Yeah, Black Dragons, they've all been incredibly nice too. Tonho specifically, that dude's incredibly friendly, very nice, always got a smile on his face, happy to see everybody. It's just cool to see these guys happy to be here, and you know, I couldn't say I'm anything less than happy to be here. It's a very cool opportunity to present Battlerite in front of DreamHack Summer here.
For sure, for sure. Going into the next game, I don't see Impact making too many adjustments again. I would expect maybe one hero switch, but I think a Dizzler Jumong, a Vague Rook, seems fairly likely. I think at this point they're going to be trying to save some of their more unconventional picks for day 2 here. I know you and I both have heard whispers of maybe some things that might be in the chamber there. So if Impact do manage to make it to day 2, which if I was a betting man, I would say seems relatively likely. Yeah. I like those odds. Yeah. I'm very interested tomorrow to bring you guys some very very new age Battlerite.
New age Battlerite.
New age.
Yeah, we'll have some pretty interesting things coming up. But for now, we have our match ready. We have Blackstone Arena Day. And we're going to have a couple comp changes here. Dizzler, he's going to be switching to that Alicia. Alicia, a character that we saw a ton of last patch, but we've seen next to none of this patch. What do you think that is?
She's very interesting. I think it's more about maybe teams not having experimented with her that much, because last patch, a lot of people considered her like to feel really stupid to play against. You know what I mean? Like the E was on such a low cooldown. She had so many ways of applying chill, that just crippling debuff that's like magma to an extreme, you know, that combos off everything else that she does. Feels really frustrating to play against. And I think it very much still is that way after a couple of just kind of quality of life adjustments, slight nerfs to her, but I think she's absolutely still viable. She's a character more than any other ranged hero with a lot of just burst and setup potential, where she can apply a chill on you, and the game can spiral out of control after that initial first application of that debuff.
She can definitely put on ice any chances of your enemy's hopes of living. I'm stretching, man.
I need to sleep.
Well, we have our next game coming up here shortly, the Alicia pick. Something I'm incredibly excited to see. We're going into it right now. Game 3, ladies and gentlemen. Crooks, what other puns can I drop here?
3.
I'm not contributing.
You got no chill.
Exactly. 0. I see what you did there too, and I'm happy about it. I just wasn't going to acknowledge it.
Vague, he gets his counter proc to start this one off, trading pretty favorably here and running right onto that Blossom. The tree, it's dropped, but dropped a little bit late. Not going to block the charge in, but Vague, he doesn't have any energy to eat. Luckily, his counter's proc, he goes right back in. He gets that Glacial Prism, but still, the damage has been put out. Gadaf doing older things down bottom, 2v1ing and putting out more damage than he's receiving. Going to drop that ultimate as well. It's not going to get value, but still, this one might be all but over as the Blossom has fallen.
Man, the way that Gada took that favorable sort of 1v1 against Audez on the Taya just more than willingly, he did so much damage there and stopped Taya from popping off completely. I mean, what was that? Gada Valon just worked them into that bottom corner.
Yeah, he absolutely just put them into that corner, gave them no time of day at all, put them down very quickly, had that ultimate very early, and even though it didn't get value, it's still very strong ability, very strong showing from Gadaf down there. We'll see if they can keep this up. Impact, they keep the momentum running.
In a lot of ways, I think Alicia is kind of the dream character to put Dizzler on, because one of Alicia's biggest weaknesses is obviously her limited mobility. You know, you've got that shield to protect you a little bit, that space. And if you combine that with somebody who has such great technical just positioning ability like Dizzler, he's very rarely going to put himself in a situation that's bad, and the rest of the time he's just going to be just freezing artillery the whole time, which is kind of what we see here. Look at that, just unload on Higure.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage onto that Blossom. Already down to half. The Rook charge going to land as well. The counter of Tonho not going to get hit either. Stone Glass forcing out that M2. No abilities left over. And wow, Dizzler already having an ultimate. There wasn't even an orb taken. Impact, they're ignoring the orb completely, Crooks.
Orbs are overrated, man. Dizzler can farm ults without orbs, no problem.
Yeah. Dizzler doesn't need orbs to get ultimate. He just always seems to have it. Tonho, he's dropping his ultimate, trying to find something. He does get the orb with that Tremor, but at the end of the day, I think it's all but over as the chill is applied and his HP is gone. Impact swiftly go up 2-0.
Again, a great demonstration of the way Impact just kind of work off of the cooldowns of each other. We saw, you know, Vague will charge somebody. They'll use a space on that, which means Dizzler moves forward, drops the E on that person. You know, Godoff drops the E as well. They're so coordinated. They're so in each other's heads. It feels like one person just playing 3 different heroes at the same time. It's kind of ridiculous the way they all follow up with each other, and that's how you see rounds like that where they disregard the orb completely. They sense just one little paper cut with the blood dripping from the enemy team, and they just go for the kill.
Yeah, they got the senses of a shark in water, finding all of these openings possible, getting a lot of damage out already. Godoff, though, he's spaced in, Crooks. This is a bit of a questionable play here. He doesn't get any value out of the Petrify either. He has a shield available, but uses it late enough to not get any value. He should have his space up shortly to be able to get out, but his allies have actually connected with him. The ice block up top, Dizzler going to be used on himself to heal up. Rook getting that counter proc, very fortunate for Tonho here.
Yeah, Godoff was doing an interesting bit of limit testing at the beginning of this game, I think, with that early space. Very aggressive play from him. As look at Tonho, just getting run down by 2 ranged heroes, just peppering him with really heavy damage M1s. Audaz on the run here, has plenty of energy to work with. He's getting closer to that TIE ultimate, so he might be looking for an opportunity to just kind of blow this game up. The older ultimate gonna get going off aggressively, pushing Audaz down toward the bottom of the map as well. And now Black Dragons is completely split.
25-35 HP lead for Red Team, and in a round where Godoff spaced in aggressively, this is not how I expected it to end. Up top though, Tonho, he has that time bomb and he is going to go down. Impact are looking unstoppable. Beautiful play from Impact to reconnect with Godoff after he used his spacebar very aggressively, and it almost seemed like it was fine.
It's so difficult to know what to even do against this. Like, the punish is just so effective. It feels like the Black Dragons just can't catch a break. You know, the moment any little thing is suboptimal, it just feels like you get everything in the kitchen sink thrown at you.
Yeah, anytime anything is suboptimal, your HP gets dropped to sub-0.
All right, that one was pretty good.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I concede. I capitulate. That one was good. You worked for it. I appreciate the effort. If nothing else, I respect the strategy. 3
rounds going to Impact here, and you can obviously hear the pep in my voice, feeling much better after Crook acknowledges one of my puns. I like fun. 3 rounds in a row to Impact. We'll see if they can keep this going. They're looking pretty good so far. Charge in. Dizzler taking some damage from Tonho. Tonho able to get some energy, which is much different than the rounds prior. He isn't able to land that M2 though, and his counter's not proc. This is not looking so great for the blue Rook anymore, Crooks.
Yeah, look at Audaz just being harassed over and over again by Godoff, completely shut out. Higure trying to buy him some space. With that AoE tree, they're going to go for an orb confirmer. Godoff with the bubble, going to reflect all this damage away. Vague trying to go ham. Dizzler's taking a little bit of damage, but nothing compared to what Tonho's getting hit with.
Tonho, his HP getting so incredibly low here, and he, once again, doesn't even have a full bar of energy, Crooks. A nice shield from Godoff negates that charge as well. The Stone Glass going to force out everything. He is all but dead, as is the Blossom. Impact cleaning this one up easily.
Yep, and this is move-on point for Impact, trying to get into tomorrow's semifinals, and unfortunately, this next round could potentially be Black Dragons' last in the BPL land.
Yeah, you bring it up. The biggest tournament in Battlerite history, DreamHack Summer, the Season 1 finals. This is a Tonho and company, Black Dragons, potentially their last round here, and Impact looking like they're poised to move on into the semifinals tomorrow. Very exciting for them. We'll see if they can do it.
They look so strong. And it's ridiculous because we talked about that, talking about how good Youngsung must be, because you watch a team like Impact play this and you're like, how the hell is this absolute demon in the lower bracket?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Terrifying. The level of competition we're going to see tomorrow especially is really daunting.
Dude, tomorrow's going to be bonkers.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get there. The end cap coming out from Tonho onto Godoff, getting a nice amount of pressure here. Tonho having enough energy for that eat, a rare occurrence it seems in this best of 5, but now he's far on the right side of the map, left without anything again. He gets both the tree and the tornado. So many resources dedicated to this Rook. Things are going to be okay here for Impact, though, as they manage to not secure the first orb, but instead secure a huge chunk of the HP of Tonho and company.
Yeah, and as we see here, Godoff going to reposition a little bit. Nice timing on that older bubble to pick up one of those weakening projectiles, and now he's going to choose to take a 1v1 against Tonho, perfectly reasonably off on the right side of the map. Vague, unfortunately, whiffs his counter, the Alicia ultimate. There's no follow-up there either, as Higure is on the run. Audaz trying desperately to lay in a little bit of meaningful damage here, but not really able to find anything, as Godoff the entire time more than willing to just duel Tonho, as Alicia is actually going to go down.
Yeah, Dizzler, he goes down to the M1s up at Taya, but this is definitely still in the realm of things that are doable for Impact. The older ultimate comes out here, and it lands onto the Taya. The amount of damage from just the sheer M1s from Dizzler is doing quite a lot. Now the Boulder applying armor break, they might be able to find a burst here. The Tree of Life, however, going to try to negate that damage and heal up his allies quite a bit. Higure going to do just that and secure the orb. This is looking very good here for the blue team, and they find the kill on Vague. Godoff, all that's left 1v3 is not going to happen, and Black Dragon showing signs of life when they need it to most.
And they close around, but the path from here is a little bit scary.
Tall mountain.
ITF.
Dude, this is like, this is a very tall mountain. I don't imagine this is anything but difficult. Now they still have to win 4 more in a row, not only, or just to take this game, and then they have to win 2 more full games. We'll see if they can keep it up. Black Dragons, of course, wanting that spot in the semifinals.
3,
See what they can get
2,
done. I think Dizzler in particular was worked into a bit of an unfamiliar situation in that game. God of abandoning his teammates a little bit to take kind of a silly 1v1 against Tanho, even if it did work out. I think they're going to play this one much more straight up. Dizzler able to just do what he does, fire some M1s.
Nice Petrify here. Tanho having all of his abilities forced out, and he's just getting destroyed by this backline. He does get a nice end cap onto Godolph, which secures an M1 from Adaz, or going to be taken by Impact, Crooks.
Yeah, not too surprising there. They've had good control already. But once again, you see Godov and Dizzler moving forward just so aggressively. The follow-up there with the ulti onto Higure. Can't do too much.
Oh,
Double
God.
Alicia ultimate freeze.
Oh,
the burst is
God.
gross, and they finish this one up in style. Dizzler popping off.
Yeah, beautiful play there from Godolph, too. He needed one more healing charge in the face of the Rook in order to get his ultimate. He used that healing charge. He got it. He got the ultimate, that stun onto the Blossom. Then they found that double freeze from the Alicia. Impact going to be our last team joining us at the semifinals tomorrow. Huge congratulations to Black Dragons for making it this far, but this is the end of the road for them.
Absolutely, and I mean, a well-earned victory by Impact. You really can't say anything bad about what just happened there. They played so well, so solid. They played their proper comps, showed us a lot of new things as well. The Alicia in particular, I'm very interested to see if that becomes a part of their sort of hero selection rotation tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they lost to Impact.
Yeah.
Impact, an incredible force. Most people's favorite going into this tournament, being upset by Youngsung pretty handily at that. We'll see how they look tomorrow, of course. Their first game, I believe, is going to be against Code, or going to be against Red. That'll be a very interesting match. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be a huge test for Red Cannons, you know, being able to best SSG in that best of 5 earlier today. Now you get, man, I don't even know. What's stronger than the monster that is SSG? You get 2 of them or something like that. I don't even have a comparison to make. Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Of course, that is a story for another day. We're going to have a winner's interview coming up here shortly. Going to be able to talk to I believe, the captain of Impact, so that'll be pretty cool. Very well performed by them, of course, winning that one pretty handily, only losing 3 rounds in the entirety of the best of 5. Whenever something goes like that, you know one team deserved to win over the other.
Yeah, they had a pretty good idea of what they were doing, I think, and it was a pleasure to watch still. You know, I love watching just Battlerite in general and watching people like Dizzler just play to the highest level with, of course, his teammates, Godov and Veg backing him up, allowing him to do what he does.
So we got everything done for today. We have the final groups, or the final groups finalized for tomorrow's semifinals. That will be very exciting to see. We have Red Cannons finishing first in Group A, followed by Space Station Gaming, Dolos, and Team